everybody, and welcome to this week's Writers Chat. This is our community of writers where we talk about all things writing by writers and for writers. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name's Jean Wise, and I have my other two co-hosts with us, Bethany Jett. Bethany and Johnny Alexander. And we just decided to let everybody that's live on today just join us today because I think we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk today about Christmas stories and Christmas films and how they inspire us as writers or what neat things. And so we kind of put the challenge out in our Facebook group to have people come prepared if they had something to share. But I know the three of us have something to start with. And so we're glad. Hi, Rebecca. We're glad to see all of you guys with us live. And we welcome you to the replay, and we're just glad to have you with us today. And Merry Christmas early. Let's just say it and get it out there. I'm in the Christmas mood. Johnny, would you like to start us down this little lane about books or a movie or something that you wanted to start us with?
Yeah, I will. As it turns out, though, one of my favorite Christmas books is also shared by somebody else. And so I'm going to let that person actually announce the title of that book.
That's me.
Oh,
actually, we are so excited about this book. And you guys, I know if it's not your favorite now, it will be. But the book hasn't been published yet because the person needs to sign a contract for this book. And this book is called Holy Hindsight. Would you? And that book is written by Jean Wise. And Jean needs to sign a contract with Heartline. If she wants to sign a contract with Heartline, that will be my favorite.
Oh, you guys!
So what do you say, Jean? Do you want to sign a contract?
Yes.
Everybody's like, what's going on? Jean sent me
Merry Christmas.
For her book.
Just this
book
weekend.
Proposal. She didn't send me the contract. She sent me the book proposal.
I'm crying.
And I said it would be so cool to offer her a contract while she's doing the show. And so Johnny and Bethany were in on it. I asked them, would it be okay to do that?
Oh my
God. Making me cry.
I just...
And they said, absolutely. I said, I could say it's my favorite.
It's a dream come true, you guys.
Unpublished Christmas time book.
Oh, it's not quite Christmas, but it'll go.
You submitted it at Christmas time, so it's a Christmas time
book. It is. It's a Christmas
We'll take care of all the details. I'll just need your address and stuff when we get off. But congratulations!
Congratulations, Jean.
Hi, Young at Heartline is going to be your agent, and I will be the junior agent, the liaison to take care of personally take care of all your submission needs.
Mary, that is a wonderful Christmas gift. Thank you for the surprise. I had no idea that was coming. I got to give Bethany credit. Because Bethany, that's the book proposal you helped me with.
Yeah, it was good. It's helped me. It's going to be very good.
Good. Thank you, everybody.
I can tell you did a good job. It's called Holy Hindsight, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So I got your proposal. We'll get it going. So everybody, let's give her congratulations.
Thank you. Can't wait to see your signing picture on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
You have to do that. Maybe you should sign it here, next week. She's like, I'm not waiting.
I don't think she's gonna be here.
Yeah, she'll be here next week.
We'll take a picture and put it on
right away.
Before you change your mind.
I won't change my mind.
Well, thank you. So, Johnny, you didn't really have a book to start with?
No. I can.
Hindsight.
Yeah, I can start. I actually will, and because we're talking about Jeannie.
Guys, you got to know, she texted me a few minutes ago saying, hey, because I'm at Carol Ann's, I may have to leave abruptly, so I need to start.
It has to be first.
Oh my, I had no idea that was coming. Thank you, you guys. You
They
just
were
made my
good.
morning. So I'm done. I'm gonna.
I do have a book. The cover's not
Yeah.
good. This is Jeannie's Christmas Advent book. It's called "Let Every Heart Prepare Him Room." Thank you, Bethany. There's the physical copy. I read. This is my third year reading this book, and not just because Jeannie's a close friend, but because I really do benefit from reading these devotionals. It goes week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So you're going through 28 days of December. And they're short, and then she's got little verses, and she's got quotes, and like an encouragement and a prayer. And it just really is. I read it as part of my quiet time. I mean, I have specific things I do, but then I've added that into it. And it just is a really nice reminder to to slow down and to remember, why we're celebrating Christmas. This morning's was about the roles that we play, like the children have their roles in the Christmas nativity plays, and we try to put on these roles of being, the perfect hostess or, whatever, but it doesn't always work, and we flub our lines, and that's okay, because we just need to be real, and we need to find those quiet moments for God. So I have both the physical copy, like Bethany showed you, and then I have it on ebook because of traveling, so I could just, have it easier to travel around with me. But if you don't have it, it really truly is a great devotional book. Let every heart prepare him room, right? Yes. Let every heart prepare him room.
Love the title.
Yeah, it's great.
It was published originally by Barber, and the sad thing is that it's out of print for the hard copy, but they kept it the Kindle. It's still available on Amazon. So thank you, Johnny, for saying that.
Oh, I love it.
Asked quite a bit if I would write another one, and so that's probably one of the goals I've got. And
there you go.
Do another Advent. I got a Lenten series, but I want to do another Advent series because people can't buy the hard copy anymore. So on that way, I wish they would. It was a pretty
book. That's what we're here for.
Good, let's do it. They did a beautiful job. Barber did a beautiful job.
It's gorgeous.
Bless you
like
on that.
textured on the front.
It's
beautiful. Beautiful.
It's a
And
beautiful
the pages
book.
have like gold. Is it gilt? Is that what this is called?
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a beautiful book. So thank you. So
you
I
have
hope
any
you have
copies
something
of
else,
that?
Johnny.
Jean, do you have any copies of that left anywhere?
If I have any underneath my desk, it might be 1 or 2. I'll have to go through.
Could I buy it from you when you send it to me?
If I get, I'll send one to you. If I've got one, I'll look.
Okay.
I have another one too, but I'll save it for later and give some other people a chance, and then we can come back.
Rotate around.
Active
Stuff.
but
Bethany, do you have one you want to start with?
Yes, I was going to start with "Let Every Heart Prepare Him Room." So
this is not my show today.
I will say that it is, when we unpacked our Christmas decorations last night, there were 2 books that we had saved and put in there, and your book was one of them. And I said last night to my husband that this year we need to just read through them all as a family. So that's my goal this year, is to go through all of this with the boys. Even if we didn't start soon enough, we'll finish. So the other book, I'll start with that one. And then I do have something to say about A Christmas Carol, if anyone's going to talk about that. But I will wait until the end because I have a spoiler. Okay. It's this one.
I love it.
And we read this every year because we had a college student who lived with us for a long time. We were in youth ministry, for those of you who don't know, and one of our girls just never left. And we love her, Janine. And she started Elf on the Shelf. So then when she left, now we have to continue Elf on the Shelf. So it's the gift that never ends. But so we pulled this out last night, and then we had to find the elf because we have to hide him, and he was not in the Christmas decorations, and it was a big thing. And he toilet papers the tree every year. So, but my big story about this is my first grader read most of the book last night, which was a big deal.
No.
Yay for Josie! So anyway, it's a cute little book. So
do you hide the elf? Do you do things with the elf each day?
Not like Pinterest-worthy things or Instagram. Like, it's in my stories. But yeah, he's a naughty elf. So one time Justin drew Sharpie all over his face, and then we put the Sharpie in the elf's hands. And then, like, he got mad the next morning when he woke up. And, like, the boys still talk about that one. Like, there's toilet paper all over my tree this morning from the elf that we did. Jeremy added to it. So 2 rolls of toilet paper are now in a bag. So that's life. Anyway, Elf on the Shelf, it's cute.
But do you hear the trick as a writer out of that is to create a story or an experience that becomes an activity within a family?
Yes.
I think that's the key thing for us to remember as writers. I just think that is just neat.
There's spin-offs, like Minch on a Bench, I think is one. That's for real.
Really?
I'm not kidding. Yes. And like people are, there's a whole story behind the story kind of thing with them. Like they tried for a long time to make it happen, but it's a really good idea.
Huh. That is fun. That's a great start. I want to start with, before I talk about my book, I want to start with a pop quiz.
Okay.
Okay. What is the original name of the story that we call The Night Before Christmas? Raise your hand if you know the original name of The Night Before Christmas. Rebecca, no? Rebecca, you're
Muted.
got unmute. Yeah.
Is it A Visit from St. Nicholas?
Yes.
Oh! 1 point for Rebecca.
And stuff. It was, I just thought it was just really, really interesting that this just the little thing I read, it was a poem which was first published anonymously in 1823, a long time ago, guys, and later contributed to Clemens Clark Moore, who claimed the authorship in 1837, but now they're not sure. They're really not sure who wrote that.
Wow.
And it is
Plagiarism. No.
yeah, you never know. And stuff, but it is largely responsible for some of our concepts of Santa Claus from the mid-19th century to today. You know, our grandkids still talk about Santa coming down the chimney. It all comes back to that thing in the sleigh with the 8 tiny reindeer and the names of them, and all that comes from that. On that, and it just reading a little bit of background on that made me think, as writers, how we can influence culture. Think about that. It's just the Elf on the Shelf created something within our culture that we could come up with these wild, neat, creative ideas that can live on for a long time. You know, it could be positive. So that was my inspiration. But I have to share my favorite movie.
Oh. Bethany had her hand up.
Oh, Bethany.
But I wanted to piggyback off of The Night Before Christmas.
Yes.
Did someone say this in here last week? I think someone said it in here. Is that the rhyme of that story? Anybody can read it, and you always have the same rhythm. And I was thinking about that. That was like a takeaway I didn't expect from last week. I thought about it all week, about when you write, you want the rhythm to be there, and yet they did it so well in that story.
They did. And its rhyme and rhythm really adds a lot to our prose.
Yes.
And that they're very good. It also reminded me as a writer that we can't control the title of our books.
That's true.
That they can change. On that.
I do.
On that and stuff. So, my favorite movie, and I tell you what I learned about this. Hi, Dale. What I moved about this. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. Anybody else out there favorite movie? It's my absolute favorite movie. I love it. And what I started looking at, what's the story behind this? And this is what I wanted to share today, that it is based on a short story called The Greatest Gift. Did you guys ever know that? And I actually found it on the internet, the whole story.
Wow.
On that. It's the original story. It's by a man named Philip Van Doren Stern. And I thought it was interesting, the history, that he wrote it in 1943 as a short story. And of course, it became the basis for the film It's a Wonderful Life. This is what I thought was interesting as writers. He published it, self-published it in 1943. It was later published in 1944, as a book, but it was originally self-published. He wrote it as a 4,100-word short story, couldn't find a publisher, so he sent 200 copies of it that he printed himself as a 21-page booklet to friends as Christmas gifts.
Wow.
Just think about that. He gave it away originally, and then it got published as a short story 2 years later, and it's actually copyrighted to him in 1945. The story came to attention to RKO Pictures producer, who showed it to actor Cary Grant. That isn't who we expect to hear, is it?
Love Cary Grant.
Love
Grant,
too.
he wanted to play the lead. He really wanted to play the lead. And so RKO Pictures bought it for $10,000. Now, that's in 1944. I bet that was a fair amount of money in 1944, wouldn't you think?
Yes.
Mhm.
1944. So I thought that was interesting. They started working on the play adaptation, but then sold it a year later to good old Frank Capra, who was the one into it. And they sold it to him for only $10,000. They didn't make any money off of that. So, and of course, then after that, it went on and became, they got Jimmy Stewart in there, and of course, it became the film, which was not very popular at first, because it only got popular when it started replaying over and over and over again on the television. You know, a number of years ago, people kind of fell in love with the story. But I guess my lesson on that was, you know, you can't find a publisher. You can self-publish it and send it to 21 of your
Frank
best.
Capra.
You never know. But it inspired me that as writers, you can just be wonderfully creative of these things. And we could create something the next couple weeks, guys, that we could polish over the next 2-3 years. He wrote on that novella. I think I missed that part. He worked on that for about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
short story. And so,
Gee.
Long time.
yeah.
Gene, I was watching how the movie was made,
Ooh.
and the part where he's running through Bedford Falls and he's going, "I love you this and I love you that." They filmed that. It was like 96 degrees. He had that coat on, and they used cornflakes for snow.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh my
So
God.
cornflakes I love to watch how movies are made, but yeah. 96 degrees, and they had to do the take really quick because it was like he was sweating and
Wow. I
love
like
that's one of my favorite too.
I love that movie. I just love that movie and stuff. So it was fun. I never knew the story behind it before. And to play with, you know, like I said, the internet, it's amazing what PDFs are out there of some of these short stories. So I now have the story, and I haven't read all of it, but it's a little.
I'd like to. So, do you have the PDF of the story?
I have the PDF of the story.
I want the link. Yeah.
I'll have to find that. Maybe I'll put it in the group later.
Put it in the
Would
group.
you? I would love to read it too.
Yeah, I would
I'll
love
put
to
it in
read
the group
that.
later. Yeah, I'll find the link again and put it in. Find link. Leave myself a note on that. But I just thought it was just really interesting, and it was. His characters got named a little bit different, and Mr. Potter is something else. He's a publisher or something. He's not a banker. He is a photographer. He owns a photography studio, not the conniving banker. So there are some changes to it. They said Mary never marries in the film, but in the story she marries somebody else. So there are some changes in that. But yeah, and then like Rebecca said, it was a flop until later on. Yeah. And stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, both stories appeared failures to the creators. That's a good point, Rebecca.
It really is, isn't it? Because we just never know something. Yeah, you just don't know the lasting impact something might have.
Yeah, on that. You have no idea. You just no idea. And sometimes what survives and inspires and lives on beyond us is not the work you thought it was going to be. You really wanted this piece of
No.
and stuff like that. So this is great and stuff. So we got a few more joining us. So we're making this kind of a free for all today, guys. If you want,
feel free to pop in
and stuff like that and stuff. Johnny, we'll go back to you, and then we'll see what else.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, just to follow up on actually A Wonderful Life, which I believe was filmed in 1946. One of my favorites from childhood on is The Miracle on 34th Street, which came out in 1947. Some cute little things about that. Natalie Wood plays the young daughter who, of course, doesn't believe in Santa Claus and is just, very into only telling what's true and so forth and so on. Which, I mean, of course, that is a good thing. But, her imagination was so stifled. She actually thought that Edmund Gwenn, who played Santa Claus, was Santa Claus. She herself, Natalie, thought he was Santa Claus for a long time, and then finally saw him out of costume and realized he was not.
Oh, that
I
is
think
great.
that's so cute. She was 8 years old, and she did. And he won Best Supporting Actor of the Academy Awards, Best Supporting Actor, and everything I was reading, it was just like he was just the kindest, nicest man, and everyone just had the most wonderful things to say about him. When they were filming it in 1946, they actually used the real Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from 1946 to film it. So they only had one chance, and it was freezing cold, unlike It's a Wonderful Life, where it was decidedly hot. It was freezing cold. The cameras were freezing. They had everything set up because they only had one chance to get it right, because the parade was going on, and Edmund Gwynn played the Santa in that parade. So he actually was the Santa Claus for that parade. What else? This was really fun. Okay, well, let me go to this other thing first. It was also nominated Best Film, along with The Bishop's Wife, which is a Cary Grant movie. I'm not real familiar with that one, but I guess it's a Christmas movie too, right? So it said, so in 1946, A Wonderful Life was nominated, and in 1947, these two movies were nominated. So that was like 3 Christmas movies in 2 years, and that was very unusual because Christmas movies usually don't get nominated. And the person who wrote the story, he actually wrote it for the screenplay, wrote the novelization, so the screenplay probably came first. He won for Best Story and Best Writer. The Gentleman's Agreement was the one that won the Academy Award that year for Best Picture, so it did not get that, but it was nominated for several, did receive several awards. But this was the fun thing. Zanuck was the producer on that, and he said people don't go to the movies at Christmas time. They go to the movies in May. So it was starting out being called The Big Heart, and then it was going to be called The Christmas Miracle on 34th Street. It's not called The Christmas Miracle on 34th Street because he insisted that it be released in May when he thought people would go to see it. So they kept it a secret that it was a Christmas movie. So people would go see it.
Wow.
Miracle on 34th Street. It is a Christmas movie. Nobody knew it till they showed up and saw the movie. But it was very popular, got all kinds of nominations, got those awards. And there you go. And I love it.
I love it.
I believed in Santa Claus till I was like 10 or 12.
Dell just put in the chat room that he just watched it last night.
Oh, The Bishop's Wife? Yeah.
No, Miracle on 34th.
Oh, okay, I see that. So,
Rachel,
I need to watch that again too. And then Rachel says she wrote or is talking about The Bishop's Wife. Yeah, I want to see that one again. I think I saw it a long time ago, but it wasn't one I was really had on my radar. So yeah, Trivial Pursuit would be a fun.
Well, I've already written that down. We'll do that sometime in 2000.
I agree. That would be fun.
A writer.
We'll put Rebecca in charge of that. It was her idea.
No, be careful what you say. He's like, yeah.
I think we'll do that.
And then Whitney Houston did a remake. Yeah. The Bishop's Wife.
Yeah, that's right. There's been Whitney.
Well, and there have been remakes of A Miracle on 34th Street too. There's a 1994 version, and in it, apparently, I've not seen it, but in the trivia stuff, it said that there's a coffee book, like a coffee table book called Miracle on 34th Street that's on a table that you just sort of see in passing as one of the props. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I can agree with. I don't know if there'd ever be a
agree, Rebecca.
Wonderful Life. That thing is just so classic and black and white.
Yeah, it is.
In the scene like that, of course, it's easy to say. And go ahead.
Well, you said black and white. Reminded me. Miracle on 34th Street was one of the first ones that was colorized, and there was an uproar.
Change is hard. Change is hard. Technology, we fight this technology.
Really?
Rebecca?
People didn't like the color. They were upset about it?
They didn't. If it was filmed in black and white, they wanted it to stay in black and white. They were not happy with that coloring process being done to these black and white films. Was the issue. Yeah. and it was one of the first ones. But I mean, yeah, kind of remember when those things were going on, and people were really unhappy about the colorization.
Some things never change. Like people being unhappy about things that are going to become the normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Andy Griffith, the color ones just aren't as good as the black and white.
They're not. I know. It tinges it a little bit in a weird way when you watch it. True. I grew up on Andy Griffith.
Yeah. Bethany, you got another one to share with us?
Yeah, I have a movie.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk about A Christmas Carol. Like, we have to do that. But Elf. So it's Elf for me in book and movie form today. But so I have a couple fun facts about. Has anyone not seen the movie Elf?
I saw Elf. Oh, Rebecca has
okay.
it.
My kids have seen it, but I wasn't around when they saw it. So.
Mirror.com is where I'm at, and they said that Jim Carrey was supposed to play at first Buddy the Elf, but then obviously Will Ferrell took it. And then the Santa scene where they had to be chased around the store, they had to do that in one take because it would be too expensive to reset the set, so that all had to be done. And I love those kind of like behind the scenes things. And then the one that I thought was super cool is that it says that his reaction to the Jack in the Box when he's in Santa's workshop was real. Somebody had a remote trigger on it so he wouldn't know when it would go off, so they would get a real like startle scream from him. And then my kid's favorite scene, and probably mine too, I'll be honest, is the burp scene at the table where he like just burps for an hour. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I think it's funny. Where's my sister? Okay, Jill, like the burp isn't funny. My kids think that's funny, but I think his next line when he like burps forever, and then he looks to the kid and he's like, "Did you hear that?" That line is my favorite line of the whole movie. I love that. So anyway, but they said that wasn't his burp. Someone else did that. He had to like just pretend.
But your boys love that every time, I bet.
They love the burp. Anything gross, they're like,
yeah,
all about that. But it's that next line that gets me. It's like, I think that's so funny.
So the takeaway is know your audience.
Yeah, and I actually have something valuable for you.
Okay.
That I'm putting in the chat. So I want to add value here. And it's from scriptmag.com. And they take a little bit of the Elf movie and explain how to like write a screenplay basically, or a story with the structure and the outline. But there's not a lot about Elf. Like I wish there was more about Elf in here, but the takeaway that I will share with you, and then you can, the links there, is they were talking about grabbing the reader's attention. And sometimes I think we make it too hard as writers. Like this twist has to be this big twist. But in the article, she said it opens with the dad, or, Buddy's dad reading a story, which is very familiar to us. The twist is that it's Bob Newhart in tights. And that's so small, but yet, but that's the twist. Like for the adults, like we know him, grew up on him. And that small thing was a twist. So that was my takeaway from reading through the article, was the twist doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be a little surprise. And that can be enough.
Do we overwork it? But talk about the Christmas Carol. Is it Christmas Carol? Talk about that. Because that's one a lot of us know.
Yes, there's tons of versions. The version I love the best is the 1951 Alistair Sims version of it. But there's lots of them. And that's the one you can't find on Amazon or iTunes. You can buy it, but you can't, I couldn't find it to rent, which I was so sad because I wanted my kids to see it. But my mom and I went to go see The Man Who Invented Christmas.
Oh, I want to go see
recently. That. Okay, so it was so good.
And that's a new movie out right now, right? Okay.
Yes. And I will say, I don't write fiction, but I've tried my hand at NaNoWriMo with the novels. And it's like all the things that novelists or writers even say happens to them with the characters, they personified it on screen. And so like we were like hitting each other throughout the whole movie because like, yes, like that's so true. We totally get that. It was the best. You have to go see it. I don't want to say anything else. I don't want to just ruin it for people. But at one point I looked at my mom and I'm like, I understand everything about this movie now. About the book. It was amazing. That's all I'll say.
It did give insights into A Christmas Carol and Dickens that I had never caught before.
Okay.
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
One year when I was stationed in the military, I was stationed in the Navy, and we were doing it's called 2 and 80 shifts. You do 2 morning, 2 evening, and then 2. Yeah, we were on all the time.
Yeah.
It was Christmas time, and I counted in a 24-hour period how many different Christmas carols I watched. From that one, which is my favorite too, Bethany, to who is that guy? Mickey Mouse.
Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. That's what.
That's one of my favorites.
10 different. I watched 10
Wow,
There's a
different.
lot.
And that was in 80, that was in 83, 84. And there's more now. So there was like 10 different ones. And they all have a different twist.
Mhm.
How
It's
cool
not a
for
takeaway.
stories. Doesn't this make you excited about stories? And it tells me I want to create something this Christmas. Before we open it up to everybody too, or see if Johnny or Bethany's got anything else. Bethany, what you got?
I have a takeaway that shouldn't pull from the movie. It's not okay. He when he's getting his inspiration from it, he finds it in like everyday situations, which made me think of, for those of you who were at the Ohio Christian Writers Conference, there was a video that played it was a parody of how you can have the same exact plot and yet have 2 totally different stories.
Mm-hmm.
And like after you see the movie, you'll understand why I'm saying that about the Scrooge book. But that was the takeaway. They were saying Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And how it's like, an uncle raises an orphan and there's magic and like just all of these different things. And it was like, okay, those are 2 best-selling books with the exact same plot, really.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and how he overheard something in the movie and then created something totally different that went on to sell out. So
Yep. Yeah. That's our inspiration on that. Something I wanted to share that I thought was inspirational, that was the number of writers that I was running across who wrote a letter to their kids at Christmas time that ended up living on beyond them. And I thought, of all things, Tolkien. Johnny, you and I are Tolkien fans.
Yeah.
He wrote a letter to his kids from Father Christmas for 23 years. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
After the birth of his firstborn son, John, Tolkien began to write his 4 children letters each year from Father Christmas. The North Pole tales chiefly concerned Father Christmas's struggle against the North Pole bat-riding goblins. Never heard of them before. Who had to and his mischievous hijinks of his helper, the North Pole bear. On that, and apparently there's a book out about some of this. So on that, so I thought, just real quick, I'd read you part of one of the letters. This was dated Christmas 1925. My dear boys, this is from Santa, by the way. I'm dreadfully busy this year. It makes my hands more shaky than ever when I think of it, and not very rich. In fact, awful things have been happening here. Some of the presents have gotten spoiled. And I haven't even gotten to the North Pole bear to help me. And I've had to move this year just before Christmas. So you can imagine what a state everything is. And you can see why I have a new address and why I only could write 1 letter for all of you. And it happened like this. One very windy day last November, my hood blew off and went and stuck on the top of the North Pole. I told him not to, but the North bear climbed up to get it down, and he did, but the pole broke in the middle and fell on top of the roof of my house, and the bear flew through the roof into my dining room with my hood all over his nose, and all the snow fell from the roof into the house, and it melted, and it put out all the fires, and it ran down into the cellars where I was collecting all this year's presents, and then on top of it, the North Pole bear's legs got broken. Well, he's well now, but I was so cross at him. I said, he's not going to help me again. So I expect his feelings are hurt, but maybe it'll be mended by next year. I'll send you a picture of the accident. And he goes on. But anyway, I just thought, isn't that wonderfully imaginative?
Absolutely.
Glimpse into the world of Santa that he shared with 23 years he wrote these letters, way beyond the time that they believed in Santa. I bet they just loved those letters what a neat tradition that we could start to our children or grandchildren this year. So I had to share that one with you. Johnny, Bethany, you got something else, or we
No,
want
let's hear from someone else.
Let's hear. Anybody else come prepared today with either a book or a movie that they wanted to talk about?
I did, and I'll just do it now because we talked about Christmas Carol, but my favorite is the Muppet Christmas Carol.
I love that one. Yeah.
So, yes, we love the music, and I think it was neat. So some behind the scene things that Jim Henson died in the pre-production. So this movie is actually dedicated to him, and his son Brian Henson kind of took over for it. So I can kind of picture, well, if I were Brian Henson, and I don't know if this is how he felt, but thinking, okay, this is the first thing we're doing without Dad. Like, how's it going to go? Like, this is, Muppets are his baby, and like, how is it going to work?
Yeah.
And actually, it was made in 1992 is when it went in the theaters. And it didn't do well in the theaters because Aladdin was out at the same time, and so was Home Alone 2.
Oh.
So it didn't do so great in the theaters, but it you know, obviously it's a classic now. Another cool thing was Michael Crane when he agreed to do Scrooge. He said, "All right, I'll do it, but I'm not doing anything Muppety." So he said he wouldn't do anything silly. He said, "I'm going to treat this like Shakespeare, and I'm just going to do it. And as long as I can do it that way, I'll do it." And he really does. He really does do a good job doing Scrooge, I think. So it's just one of my favorites. I don't know about a takeaway necessarily from it, but I asked my 13-year-old son this morning why he likes it. He says, "Well, it just brings enjoyable songs to the Christmas classic. And it reminds me of my childhood, and it's just so charming," he said.
Wow. I
think
it.
You have a future film critic there.
I do.
Yes.
It's so charming.
That is great. Well, I think the takeaway is that you could take some of these stories, kind of like what Bethany was saying about that skit. You take this story and put a little twist on it. It becomes very unique.
Right.
You know.
Oh, and I think also because Gonzo and Rizzo kind of explain it for kids along the way, but they do it without talking down to kids. I really like that. So maybe that could be a takeaway.
That definitely is. That is. And I bet since you've read a little bit more about the background, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, I already watched it once, but we'll watch it again.
That is great, Rachel. Thank you. Anybody else have anything else? Anybody else bring one?
I love the Peanuts. I love Charlie Brown Christmas and Rudolph. Charlie Brown Christmas, I just love that because we could probably talk all day about all the lessons with, Charlie Brown and Lucy always pulling the football out and things like that, and Charlie Brown finding the best in everything. But I love how, I think it's Linus, gives the true meaning of Christmas and he quotes scripture. And from my understanding, the TV people wanted that out. They said, "You got to take that out." And then Charles Schultz said, "Well, then you're not going to get my story." So they left it in. And that was 1963, wasn't it? Like 1963.
Early.
Yeah, and I love Rudolph. because Clarice finds the best in Rudolph, and says he's cute, and he's jumping around going, I'm cute. But they find the best in the Abominable Snow Monster. It's just so many, I think there's just so many great lessons for kids in those. Even though Santa and Rudolph and them don't exist. I did see them when I was little, but they don't exist.
Yes, they do.
No, but I just think they're great. I just love those. Heat miser, snow miser, how they compromise and they both get what they want. And I just think that's great. But the Charlie Brown Christmas with the meaning of Christmas in its scripture, I think that's just That's the best.
That is good. That's good. And look, that was another way to tell the Christmas story. We think there's how many more ways can we come up with? That's a wonderful new approach.
And the little drummer boy. I mean, that one's good too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I want to know what's going on about the smallest angel.
The littlest angel.
No, I am not talking about the littlest angel. I cannot.
I think Sophia's going to talk about it. She's looking for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll bring that back. And we haven't mentioned the Grinch. You want to talk about the Grinch?
Angel. Yeah, let's talk about the Grinch.
I live with the Grinch. No. Not anymore. God made his heart 2 sizes big now. So
I think it's funny.
At the Grinch?
I love it.
Yeah. So we can still come up with something creative. Did you know that the man who wrote Wizard of Oz, Frank Baum, wrote also The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus and A Kidnapped Santa Claus.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that different? He told how Santa Claus was kidnapped by the demons in a plan to make children unhappy. It's been called Baum's most beautiful story and constitutes an influential contribution to mythology of Christmas. I didn't read it, so.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, but he wrote 2 Christmas books, The Life and Adventure of Santa Claus and The Kidnapped. So I thought that was interesting on that. Somebody else, anything else?
Yeah, well, Sophia said she couldn't find the littlest angel, but can you just tell us a little bit about it and why you like it? And we're not going to let Bethany and Jill talk about it.
It's been a while.
Because it actually is a very sweet story.
It is. It's The Littlest Angel. And it was about a little angel who became an angel very young and wasn't as big or as talented or as good as the other angels. He was a little mischievous because he just was a little child and was always getting reprimanded. And he was assigned to bring a gift. I don't remember entirely, but he was assigned to bring a gift to baby Jesus, and he didn't have anything, but he went and got his favorite things from when he was, I think, still on Earth, or maybe some treasures he had brought with him. It's like a smooth rock from a river and eggshells that were a special blue from a robin, and little things like that that were precious to a little boy's heart. And he was so afraid that what he had to offer the newborn king wasn't valuable enough, but it was the best he had. It's similar to the concept of the little drummer boy's gift. Mm-hmm. But because it was the best he had, it was perfect for a little baby boy that was being born.
Wow.
It makes me cry every time. It'll get you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just see there's the part in the beginning. Jill and I have seen it too many times, and now we can't get past this beginning part. So that's why we can't talk about it. It is a good movie. You will like it.
And it's old, and I mean, you can see the wires as the angels are flying. You can actually see the wires, so you kind of have to look past the production values. But it's a sweet, sweet story.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was a movie, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an old one. The guy that played on the Monsters, he played Patience, the main angel, and Jodie Whittaker, who played, none of you guys will remember this except maybe Jeannie, on Family Affair. Sorry,
Bumpy and Jody.
Sherilyn. And do you remember
Jody,
Family Affair? Jodie Whittaker. He was so cute and little, and he plays on it. So
okay, I decided to jump in.
Don't ruin the story for anybody.
First off, wait, what?
Don't ruin the story for anyone.
It was just said what it is. Okay, so it's free on YouTube.
There you go.
You guys, it's funny because in our family, like, Christmas meant that we were going to watch the same Christmas movies every single year of our life. So the little angel, the Scrooge from the 1950s, the Magoo one, Rudolph. All the Scrooges we were, and I say made watched. But my dad loves these movies, so we always had to watch them. But The Littlest Angel, it's free on YouTube because my dad is coming to spend Christmas with me, so I had to find it.
Oh.
But it's a musical, and it's super cute. And actually, I'm really excited because my sister, me, and my brother are giving my dad the box that that the littlest angel gives to Jesus with all his treasures in it. So when my dad opens, he's going to know exactly what it is, because there's like a whole song with it, like, and here's a butterfly.
You have to play the song.
So like there's all these little, like, he's going to know exactly what it is. So we're really excited about that. But it's a really cute movie. But it's just funny because we were made to watch them.
But look at the memories. Think about the memories these stories give us. You know, that's what we're remembering, how as maybe parents with our kids, but even as us as kids, what brings back, that's part of Christmas, you know? So that's a good way to, I think that's another takeaway.
Growing up watching The Littlest Angel, watch with your kids, because I think Bethany and I got some theology wrong. Because they like talk about like colors you've never seen, and then we were like, that's biblical. It's not necessarily from the Bible.
Like an angel gets their wings every time you hear a bell. That's in the Bible, isn't it?
Biblical.
Stuff like that.
There could be an entire article. All the biblical things you need to reteach your children after watching Christmas movies.
That might be a good article on that. We were talking about the nativity story. Jan mentioned that and stuff. Is that accurate? I don't, when we're talking about something.
It's
she's
very
got
good.
Yeah. So
I love that movie.
It's really good. It's one of the most, to me, accurate.
Okay.
And I just read something on it. The woman that played Mary actually got pregnant during the filming of the movie.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you what, one thing, and if anyone else wants to jump in on the nativity while we're on that, one thing that was really meaningful to me in watching that, of course, we're so familiar with, the whole story. We know it so well. And I thought it was so sweet how, we know that, of course, they were engaged. We really don't know much about the relationship. But in the movie, you see Mary falling in love with Joseph. And to me, that was just the most precious thing.
And then the scene at the end where the moon is shining down on them.
Yes.
I sit there and tears come down. I was like, it is just so moving.
It is. It really
Every
is.
time.
Every time. So that would be a good one to get out, it sounds like.
I think Vicki had some back here somewhere. What ones were you guys talking about earlier?
Well, I've got serious ones and I got silly ones, and
Go for it.
We want them all.
I don't know.
10 minutes. Go for it.
I hate being late. I miss
You did this stuff.
I did.
Yeah.
Right? Well, did y'all talk about the Nutcracker at all? Because that's a traditional Christmas time based on the ballet by Tchaikovsky back in 1892, which was not popular back then because anytime a classical composer was living, basically they were shunned because they were always progressively like trying to produce new things and new sounds. And so if you were alive, you probably weren't very popular. And then when you died, then your music became popular. So the Tchaikovsky Nutcracker has been around a long time. And it's almost, for us, it was a family tradition for many years to go to a live performance of the Nutcracker. And my daughter Emma, who is now 16 and a half, she cried at the end of her first Nutcracker because it was over and she wanted it to keep going. And so that's a really sweet memory we have of the Nutcracker itself. And of course, there's been many movies made about that too. And
Good
that
story.
So the Nutcracker's fun. I love that one at Christmas time. There's one which I tried to go see in New York City this weekend. Serendipity was based in Christmas time. It's a romantic movie. It's from like 2001, so it's been out for a while, but Serendipity is one of my favorite movies because it all ends well in the end. But they go to Serendipity, which is actually a place in New York City that serves frozen hot chocolate. And I tried to go get my frozen hot chocolate this weekend, but there's a 2.5 hour wait because everybody and their sister was in New York City this weekend. So I didn't get my frozen hot chocolate.
But it's a movie. It's a movie, you're saying.
It is. It's a movie. Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh, Serendipity. It's one of my favorites.
Sherilyn mentioned the Hallmark station. Would that be the type we'd find on the Hallmark movie? Or do you think is that a Hallmark movie?
No, some of them I don't like. I like most of them. I like all the ones with the snow. I don't know. I just like the snow and the red and the green and the romance and the, I don't know. I like most of them, even though I think only one or two of the Hallmark movies mention Jesus, but I just, and they all mention like the magic of Christmas, but I still love them.
They're light and fluffy, but the Serendipity isn't a Hallmark one, then.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Who is in that, Vicki?
Kate Beckinsale. I mean, that was in her prime, like when she was really popular at that time. And John Cusack was.
That's right.
I think I saw that movie, and I think it was very good.
You got the ice skating, Central Park, all very New Yorky. You know, so you kind of get that whole feel of New York at Christmas time. It's not technically a Christmas movie, but it's set at Christmas. Okay. But then, I mean, our family favorite for years and years now has been Polar Express.
Yes, we didn't mention that one. Yes.
So that movie came out right at the time that my son was very interested in trains, and like he was all about Thomas and trains, and he would watch Polar Express every single day, and we had the book and we had to read it every single day. So now, you know, he's 13 now, and we still watch it every year, and it's still just a very sweet memory that, you know, don't you remember?
Red chocolate.
He says he's still cute, but he's 13.
Did you like the movie as compared to the book? It's almost surreal how real they look. You know what I mean? It's
very different animation, right?
It's a different type of animation. Yeah, and stuff. And it almost seemed, I almost got watching that at first, then the story kind of took me in. And that started as a story. And then became a movie. And think about that. Now, at least here in Ohio, there's 3 or 4 trains that kids can go on a train ride, and they get hot chocolate, and they get the key, and they do all that.
And the music's fun in it. You can sing the songs. You know, we still sing Hot Chocolate. Every time we make Hot Chocolate, we sing that song. So, you know, I mean, it's one of those things I think it's going to be a classic eventually once it's been around long enough.
Yeah, I think it will be too. I think it will be. Did you have another one, Vicki?
Oh, just the Santa Claus movies. I think it was really a good take on Santa Claus, you know, and how they did that. I thought that was super smart. And then of course the Home Alones. I mean, I love just everything he did to try to stop them from coming in. It's so creative.
Like that.
Yeah.
Good. Jan, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes. The book and movie, The Christmas Shoes.
Oh, that song.
I can't even listen to that song. My son was 6 years old in the back seat when he first heard the song, and he's like, "Mommy, that song is so sad." And I'm going, "Yes, it is."
Well, friends of our son is in the music group New Song. His name is Matt Butler. They wrote the song. And then the book and movie came from that song that they wrote and performed.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Wow.
Was it based on a true story? I'm sure it was, or somewhere in this world.
That I'm not sure, but quite likely it would have been.
Wow. That's an interesting trivia behind the scenes of a so wow. Okay, anybody else? We got about 5 minutes left. Anybody else got another one that they want to add?
I was listening to Chris Fabry live, and he was talking about Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
And it was really entertaining because he was asking people to call in if they liked Hallmark movies, but you could tell from his comments that he just thinks they're hilarious. And so all these ladies were calling and saying, you know, "Oh, I love this and I love this," and he was trying to keep his voice serious while he was asking them why. But then he got serious and he was explaining why he doesn't like them. And he was saying it can, you know, you have all these ladies watching them who feel like romance is going to look like a certain way that they show on Hallmark movies, and how it's so unrealistic. And it was just really good. It was good.
Wow. Jan, did you have another one?
Oh, I just showed my book.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Talk about it.
Yeah.
And say its title again.
This Babe So Small.
There you go. Children's book, right?
Well, Les Stobie told me it was more of a family book than a children's picture book, because my original publisher in Michigan didn't say anything about the text being too long. It's like a lot of text. It's not really just the short lines that go into a regular picture book. On the inside, it's like this.
Ah, I see. So
There's like a lot of text there, but
yeah.
Les said he loved it the way it was, just to market it as a family book.
Huh. So you never know. Family is, though. This time of year, it's family on that way and stuff. We are coming up at about noon. I had one more little thing to share, and then we'll see if anybody else has anything else. I ran across a story of Maya Angelou, who wrote a poem of peace that she read at the White House Christmas tree lighting in 2005. And I thought, we forget that aspect, that sometimes we're invited even as speakers to share something, and something that we write. I'll go back to originally. You write and send it to your family and friends in the Christmas cards, or you share. Here, maybe next year one of us will be invited to the White House Christmas tree. But something that we create to share. And she has, you can look it up, but it's called Amazing Peace, and it's a little bit long. I'm not going to read it all, but it is a thing that could be at any time, though she does talk about Christmas. She says it's Christmas time. It's a time for halting the hate. And she talks about peace, and it gives you goosebumps. She says, in our joy, we think we hear a whisper, and at first it's too soft, and then half heard, and we listen carefully as it gathers strength. We hear sweetness, and that word is peace. It's loud now. It's even louder. It's louder than the explosion of bombs. So it is a powerful poem, and just shows you how something that we create for one thing can turn around and, like I said, enrich us forever on that way. Yeah.
Share something. The first thing I wrote as an adult was when our pastor's wife asked me to write something for a Christmas reading. And it was in the early 2000s. And I had 5 kids, all born in a decade. So I didn't have time to think, let alone write. But I wrote my first piece then, and it was the first time I ever realized that I could write.
Wow.
And that was a gift that God has given me. And it's taken a long time because of the 5 kids plus the 2 we added to actually come into it and own it and realize that I need to steward this gift.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And that came at Christmas time. That is the perfect ending, I think, for us.
Well, yeah, we're going to have a little postscript because Sherilyn wrote a little message about the Christmas story from Dell.
Okay, go for it.
He said he couldn't get his microphone working, so we wanted to know, what about the Christmas story?
I don't know that movie, I don't think. Is
That's
that
the one with the Red
lamp
Ryder BB gun. The
It
Red
is.
Ryder BB gun.
and that crazy lamp? Okay, I've never watched it.
It's set in Cleveland. You should have that on your Midwest Almanac.
I should, shouldn't I?
Yeah. On that, you could actually tour the house, I think, in
Oh my gosh.
Cleveland.
Wow.
And the lamps there, I guess, on that. So, yeah, the Christmas story is classic. Gift of the Magi. There's something about the 4th wise man. That's out, so there's a lot we haven't mentioned and stuff. But
Vicki, I want to hear your song.
I know, I was going to say, Vicki, let's hear your song. Please sing to us.
I'm not prepared to sing it today.
Always got to be prepared in season and out of season.
I can put the words in the chat. It was a Happy Birthday Jesus song. We actually had a Happy Birthday Jesus party that was happening, and I was trying to come up with something new and put the song together. So it's never been published, but I did submit it to a contest. I had some really good feedback at a contest, and then I really thought people were just being nice to me, and I put it up. It's been about 10 years since I wrote it. So
can you sing it seriously, or sing a few lines of it or something so we can hear it?
You opened the can of worms.
perhaps when we're done recording.
Vicki!
Okay, after party, we'll start really quick now because we want to hear this. But
Yeah.
I want to know from Rebecca here. Your mom went to that school?
That or she lived nearby. She was from around Cleveland. I'm not sure. It was something about that.
That's a great trivia. That is great trivia. Well, this has been fun today. We're going to turn it. We're gonna quit the recording here in a minute, but we would tell everybody about next week. Johnny, you want to talk to us about next week a little bit?
Yes, it looks like I'll be on my own, so I'm going to pull Rebecca in to co-host with me. And we are going to be talking about Christmas gifts for writers. It will be another open, kind of like today, where we'll just have everybody talking. So, be prepared to talk about favorite Christmas writing gifts you received, or things that you would like to receive, or things that you think would make good gifts for writers, and just do some little Google things and see what you can come up with. If you've got the actual item to show, that would be great. So we just want to hear about your Christmas writing gifts and stories, and just come prepared to have fun.
And help Johnny and Rebecca, since Bethany and I are deserting you guys next week.
They
so
are.
I want to take the moment to wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Yes, because that will be our last one. So
Jean,
for the year.
We won't be here next week, but I have a church meeting I'm required to be at all day, so it'll be nice, but it was just I couldn't get out of it on that Tuesday. So anyway, we're going to take a Christmas break after next week, and we'll be back in January, and we actually have January plans. So January planned, and we have most of the first quarter planned, a lot of ideas going down. So we got an exciting new year coming up and stuff. So we're going to start the year off on a very prayerful and positive note. That's all. Hint at that and stuff like that. So we're so glad you could be with us all here today. Deborah. And bye, Deborah. And those of you that are here on the recording, I hope we've given you some inspiration for writing. I think we can learn a lot this time of year and gather those ideas. I think we could do that. And so I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll stay for the after party for those of you that are live and
hear Vicki sing.
And hear Vicki sing. And those of you that aren't here live, we'll let you know what it was like.
Yeah.
So, Merry Christmas, everybody.